You're not failing at habits because you're lazy. You're failing because you're guessing. Like most of us, you probably set a habit before, go to the gym, journal, read, whatever the case may be, stuck to it for about 2 weeks, and then it fell off. And no judgment here. No, it's happened to all of us. And you're certainly not alone. A study from the University of Scranton found that less than 20% of people stuck to their self-change New Year's resolutions 2 years after they set them. Less than 20%. And 23% actually gave up in the first week. Subjects reported that a lack of willpower was one of the major factors that hindered their performance and their ability. There, my friends, lies in part the problem. Relying on willpower isn't sustainable, but building a system that sets you up for success is. And today's training, that's exactly what we're going over. Building a system that sets you up for success and allows you to build habits that endure. My name's Dan. I'm a coach who helps people develop self-discipline and build confidence. Real fast, if you're more focused on breaking a bad habit right now, I have a free app called Bad Habit Breaker Pen that helps you do exactly that. The link is in the description below. So how do we build habits that actually stick? The $1,000,000 question. We're going to go through this step by step. First part of the system is start with your identity. What's the difference between a person who says, I'm not trying to smoke versus a person who says, I'm not a smoker? It's part of their identity. Person B, that's part of who they are. They're not a smoker. And that's how we kind of want to do these habits. We want to make them a part of a reflection, really, of who we are. What value is this exemplifying? And that's how we start when we build a new habit is we ask ourselves, what makes it important to us? That's step one, figuring out the value. And we do that by asking what makes it important to us. And like journaling, for example, a bit different, but the value here is it's reflective. It allows you to take down things and take things out of your mind and ponder on them, think about it, write them down, document it. And once you know about what makes it important to you, what value this is exemplifying, we design our environment to meet that, to match it for success. What I mean by that is oftentimes we're not trying to not journal or miss the gym. We'll just forget. We'll be like, oh, I had a busy day. I completely forgot I had to do this thing. So how do we overcome that? Well, we overcome that by designing our environment. So if it's working out, we put the workout clothes very obvious on the chair. When we wake up, we see them. When we come home from work, we see them. Additionally, we try to reduce friction to doing the things we want to do. So the gym, for example, we bring our gym bag to work if that's when we're going after work. Another example of this is journaling. We put the journal right here on the laptop and the pen right there. We reduce friction to following through. So that's step two. We architect our environment for success. Step three is once we have our environment for success, how do we make it feel worth doing? Now we spoke about, understanding what makes the habit important to us, but things like being reflective or being healthy, these can feel abstract, like these abstract attributes that don't have this emotional resonance to us. So how do we make our habits feel compelling? Make it feel like we want to do them. And the answer to this is we visualize an outcome that is important to us. So for example, if someone's sticking to a diet right now, it's a bit tough and they're working out, when they're tempted to cheat on it, they don't go, no, I can't. They think about the beach. They think about the weigh-in. They think about what they're doing this for. Additionally, with journaling, a bit different. With journaling, sometimes it's a pain in the ass, I'll be honest. But I don't think about, just being reflective. I think about how awesome it will be in 20 years from now to look back on these times through what I wrote on these pages. And we develop a vision of that sort, it compels us to act. It makes us want to act because it makes the effort feel rewarding and worth the payoff. Now that the habits feel worth doing, how do we make them winnable? What I mean by winnable is, if you ever heard of a yo-yo, person who's completely in or completely out when it comes to things, for example, the gym, we want to avoid that. If we haven't been to the gym in 6 months, unless for some unforeseen reason, let's not go to 6 days. Let's start with 2 days, and then we can up it to 3 after 2 weeks. Then we can graduate to 5, etc. And this is basically known as T-ball. We're starting with T-ball, and with time we can graduate to the big leagues. to the majors. And in some areas of my life, I'm still at T-ball because it's just what I can handle right now. Like journaling, I just do it once a week. So start with a level of commitment that you can handle given your life, given your other commitments and your priorities. Start with something that you can handle. Once we're consistent, we turn routine into optimization. What I mean by that is over the course of a month, we track. We track what goes right and what goes wrong. Easiest way to do this is through a calendar. Put a little calendar next to our bed, next to our office. And every time we commit, we complete the habit, we follow through, put a little X. Put a little X on the calendar on the day. Then a month later, we look at what went right and what went wrong. The days that went wrong, we just ask ourselves, oh, I'm missing a lot on Wednesdays. What's going on Wednesdays? Well, I actually have to go to work earlier, which kind of throws off my schedule. Therefore, I actually can't make it to the gym when I usually can. And then we adjust from there. But by being able to track, we gain clarity as to what's working and what isn't working. So the next part is absolutely crucial, and it's where habits live or die. And it's dropping the all or nothing mentality. It kind of goes back to the yo-yo person who's like all in or all out. That's not how habits or self-discipline stays. We're going to fail. We're going to fall. We're going to mess up. And in those moments, it may be tempting just to give it all up, to say, why bother? Why keep going? But if we can reframe this as from failure to feedback as to what to do more of, what to do less of, how to course correct, then it builds us back better. We learn, we adapt, we overcome. And we go from like, oh, I'm failing to, yeah, I messed up. I didn't get what I wanted, but how can I be better from this? How can I learn from this? And that is the last little part of the system is dropping the all or nothing mentality. Real habits are built not through perfection, but through persistence. And once more, if you want help breaking a bad habit, you can find Bad Habit Breaker Ben absolutely for free in the link below. So I hope this helped, and we'll be talking soon.